Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar. Today's topic is Salesforce and Remedyforce profiles and permission sets. We will begin in a couple of minutes, so please allow us a couple of minutes just to see if any other people is going to join us. Thank you so much for joining today. Alright, so we will just wait for another minute and then we will start with the today's webinar. Okay, so let's begin. Today we're gonna discuss profiles and permission sets, which is one of the most important things about security and access to objects and records in both Remedyforce and Salesforce. So first of all, what is a profile? Profiles in Salesforce, it's a collection of settings and permissions that define how a user accesses records. Using profile, we can control a lot of settings from field level security to user permissions, tab assignment settings, session settings, login hours, etc. There are two main type of profiles. First one is standard profiles, and the second it's a custom profile. So its standard profiles are profiles that come on every single Salesforce org, and they are default created, and those cannot be renamed or deleted. A sample of a standard profile, it's a system administrator, a standard user profile, read-only profile, and marketing user profile. So probably you have seen this on your Remedyforce org as well. Custom profiles. A custom profile can be a profile that was created by a user or by a system administrator, or profiles that come within a package, a managed package, like the Remedyforce package. On our Remedyforce package, we will find some custom profiles like Service Desk System Administrator, Service Desk Staff, Service Desk Client, and Service Desk Change Manager. So those are the default or the out-of-the-box profiles that come with Remedyforce. So you should tie to your staff, clients, and administrators at least one of those. Um, so let's move to the next slide, and we will talk about permission sets. So what is the difference between a permission set and a profile? Well, both can assign security in terms of user access record to records, to objects, but there are small differences between them. So a profile can also assign the page layout assignment, the desktop client access, the login hours. So if you wanted to restrict when the users can log in or not, Login IP ranges as well, if you would like to restrict when some profiles can log in from certain IP ranges. As well, the session settings and password policies. Those features or those permissions are not available from the profile level. All right. So for every single profile on Remedyforce, we have a permission set that it's a complement of the profile, and we will see why we have this permission set, which is part as well of the Remedyforce package. So for every single profile like service desk staff profile, we have a service desk staff permission set. And you should tag your users with at least the permission set. You can use a clone or a custom profile, but you should keep using the permission set. And we're gonna see that in a bit and why we recommend you this. All right, so I would like to show you most of the webinar on the actual Remedyforce site. So in case there's any questions regarding some stuff that we're gonna do. So there's a couple of things that we're gonna do. We're gonna create a new user with a staff profile and permission set. We're gonna also modifying the landing tab for this particular user. We're gonna say I would like to staffs to land directly into the Remedyforce console. Also, we're gonna clone a profile because most of the business out there they are also using Salesforce for another purposes like marketing, probably like sales. So they would like also to use a clone profile or a custom profile that they can customize, but also do not lose any features with Remedyforce, right? So we're also gonna see how to clone your profile, how to modify the profile, and assign it to a new particular user. And finally, we're going to discuss a little bit of best practices, which best practices we recommend you just to ensure you don't get permissions issues with your users or users that cannot see some records or access Remedyforce console, Remedyforce CNDB, and stuff. All right, let's go into our Remedyforce. Let me bring this over to you. Okay, there it is. So this is the home tab of Remedyforce. I'm logging currently as an administrator. So there are two ways of creating a user, and we are gonna see them both. First technique, it's by going to Remedyforce Administration, click under Manage User, and click Clients. So there's a little bit of confusion here. Why Remedyforce manage all the users regardless of their profiles as clients? Well, the reason behind this is that even though I'm my administrator right here, I'm gonna zoom in so you can see. Even though I'm right here as an administrator, I also am as a client because this is an ITSM software, so probably I will need uh, I don't know, to submit a request also for me regarding probably HR or another service request that I will need to submit it. As an administrator still will need to go to the self-service and submit my request. So that's why for Remedyforce, every particular user, it's a client regardless of the profile. Click on this page, which is the new button, and from here we can select an email address. The email address, it's not a unique field, so you can uh, duplicate it across your user database. So I'm gonna use my BMC email address. But the client ID, this client ID, it's unique not only within your own Remedyforce, but also since Salesforce shares the user database across all the Salesforce clouds out there, then this has to be unique. And if you hover your mouse over the field, basically it says so. I'm gonna choose a different ID here. And I'm just going to fill all the required fields. You can skip the non-required ones. Also from here you can select a business hours. So probably I would like to work from 9 to 5. And on the right side, if this is a user that it's going to be a staff member, so that means either a change manager profile or service as a staff profile, then you need to mark this checkbox. And this complements on the back end and tells the back end this is a staff and helps you to, well, it's necessary when you create a staff member to mark this checkbox as a staff. So example, staff account, it's not a required field, so you can just skip that one if you're not using accounts. Role, it's also it's not a required field, but you can put it on none. And for this testing, I'm gonna choose help desk staff, and that's it. Let me see. Okay, there it is. All right, seems that we have everything we need. Contact details. Well, from here you can just um, put your client's details, phone, CD address, stuff like that, and that's it. It's not required, so I'm gonna skip that part. Oh, we have a problem with my Remedyforce because I just reached my limit of users. So hold on, that might take me just one small minute. I'm gonna do it on the same page. This is because my testing environment it's only for testing, so I have like 10 to 8 to 15 users to be created. So I'm gonna deactivate this one. There we go. Now let me see if we can save our test record. There it is. And this is why I like to do this on Remedyforce, because you probably will encounter some sort of error messages like the one I had. In that case, I already knew that the problem was because of my number of licenses, right? Because this is a testing environment. Okay, so we have created our test record just like that. But as you notice, there's nothing here to tell us that to assign a permission set or what permission set is assigned to it. It just tells us a profile because this is meant to be used by clients or for clients. I'm sorry. So if you have more experience on the Salesforce side, or if you are managing also another packages inside Salesforce, you probably would like to go to the other way. We're gonna see how to create the user. So I'm going to inactive this one so we can create another one from the other method. And all right. So let's go to the setup menu. This is the standard Salesforce setup, and it controls basically all the system settings related to Salesforce. So I'm gonna look on the quick find for users. And well, these are all my users, but most of them are not active. So I'm gonna filter by active users. All right, there you go. Then click on new user, and that will prompt you with a form similar, but this has a lot of extra fields in here. The red ones are the ones that we should fill. So I'm gonna do the same thing. Remember the email, it's not unique, so you can use the same one. And help desk staff, user license, Salesforce platform. Um, okay, there's something I forgot to mention about user license as well, but it's going to be later down the webinar, but I'm going to mention right now. The Salesforce license, it's tied up to a profile. So when you create a profile from scratch, it will ask you to choose a license. Um, in this case, the Salesforce platform license uses these profiles: staff, client, and change manager. And if we switch the user license for Salesforce, here is where we have the service as system administrator and the other standard profiles from Salesforce. So you cannot have a staff with a Salesforce license. So the user license must be Salesforce platform to use service desk staff. That's when you select a profile like this, it goes with that user license. Okay, so let me see what else I need to select. I think that's all. Oh, the username, I'm sorry. And if you remember, back in the other page on administration, I used to have that checkbox about services staff, right? But here from this method, I'm sorry, let me zoom in. There's a section called BMC Helix Remedyforce, and there's a checkbox service desk staff. So this should be marked if you do this from this method. And just click save. Oh, it seems we lost the audio. Can you hear me now? All right, I'm sorry for that. I apologize. Seems we have an audio problem. All right, I think let me just recap a little bit. What I did is I'm gonna test the user we just created. Oh, thank you for confirm. I added the user to a queue, and then I'm gonna test if our test user it's working. So Let's assign this ticket to the incident queue. All right, and let's check the staff. And there it is. Okay, so pay attention to what I'm going to do. I'm going back to the user that we just created, and I'm going to remove that checkbox. I'm going to reload this incident now. It's going to ask me to save. I'm going to say it's okay. I got this. And okay, well, the user looks like it's good. It has his profile, it has the right permission set, but it doesn't have that small checkbox. So let's see what happens. I'm not crossing my fingers to this to work. No, I'm just kidding, don't worry. Incident queue, same record, and boom, it's not there. So even if it's a staff, it's not available for selection. So no one can assign a ticket to him, even if he belongs to this queue. So that is of the most one of the most common issues that we have when we get a support case and probably an administrator or another staff is not able to assign a ticket to a new user. And the reason behind that is that this checkbox makes him available for selection on the Remedyforce console. So that's why it is really important to mark it while creating a new user. And let's go ahead and search for it again. And there you go. There it is. So I can just go ahead and save it. There you go. Okay, when a new user is created, the system automatically sends an email with the username and sends an email to reset the password. There is an option on Remedyforce administration to do not send the email or to choose a default settings for some users. So you're gonna see in a bit. If you go to Remedyforce administration and you go to, hold on one sec, user settings. It's taking his time today. Okay, here are some default values for new clients. Um, and as you can see here, you can select if you create a client from an import like data loader, if you would like to assign a specific profile, or if you do it from the client form defaults. That's the client form. It's the form that we let me put it here. This is the client form when you create a new client. And well, it's only saying that it's gonna be defaulting to client if you modify this client default. But the cool thing here is that you can select import defaults, like when you are doing a massive dump of users via data loader from a CSV file, you can select a default there as well. The account language, time some stuff, you can do it that way. But if we scroll down a little bit, it says email notification. And if we uncheck this thing, then it's not going to send any email to the newly created users. So that means they will not be able to reset hit their password. So that depends on your needs, and you can use it to new users or when while creating a massive amount of users. Also, from here we can disable the creation of new clients from the Remedyforce console. That is a small feature right here. If you don't find a client, you can create a new client, but you can disable that one from here. All right, let's go back to the profiles and let's see how a profile can control where the user lands, at what time the user logs in, or from which IP address they log in, which is most of the. This view, by the way, it's an enhanced view of the profiles. Some of you probably are using the old UI for the profile, so let me give you how to change that. If you go to the setup and if you click user and if you go to user management settings, there is a small check right here that says enhance profile list view and enhance profile user interface. So I recommend you to mark them both, and this will segregate your profile view like this. That way it's easier to manage because from here you can see how are segregated both application security and system security. Example, if we're looking to see when a user can log in from a profile, instead of looking at a huge list of settings, I just go in here in login hours and I can just create a new one if I need to create a new one. In this case, the profile is the services staff. It's the out-of-the-box profile, so I'm not able to modify it unless I clone it. So that's the next step, how to clone them. But I just wanted to show you how to enable the enhanced view. All right. So from the enhanced view, we have segregated application settings and system settings. It's the same thing for permission sets. The only difference is that on permission sets will not have login hours, IP ranges, system permissions, stuff like that. So if we see the object settings, that will take us directly to every single object on the system, not only Remedyforce, but including every object on the system. If you're using Salesforce um, for additional purposes like sales or marketing, here is where you want to add those permissions to probably a staff that also is using Remedyforce. All right, so let's go ahead and clone our profile so we can do small tweaks. If you go to, I'm going to repeat that back. If you go to the setup menu, and if you use a quick find, type profiles, and that will take you to profiles. Or from the Remedyforce administration panel, if you go to manage users, you can click here on profiles. If you notice, there's a plus sign here, and that means that this will take you to a Salesforce page outside of the administration, and it will create a new tab. All right, so from here, services staff, if you notice, we have a small lock in here, and we have a checkbox that says that it's custom because it comes from the Salesforce package, right? So the only way I get to modify this one is by cloning it. So let's go ahead and clone it. And I'm gonna choose services staff clone, right? I don't know if I have that used that name before, but we'll see. All right. So as you can see here, I'm already on the clone one, and let's add a set of let's say an IP ranges. What are the IP ranges for? And if you notice, I already had an IP range here. The IP range controls from which range of IP addresses I can log in without any extra security requested. What is this extra security? You probably may have seen that when you log into Remedyforce or Salesforce, uh, Salesforce, if doesn't recognize your browser or your if it's a new device, it will send you an email with a security code, and you gotta introduce that security code into your browser. Okay, um, and it will send it to the user's email address. Does not let you choose email address. But when you have login IP ranges set and you're logging in from a secure IP, Salesforce disables that extra security check. So in this case, I have a huge IP range, pretty much the entire universe of IPs, and that means that no matter of the my IP, it's not going to request me any extra security feature. So that I recommend for administrators, in case you don't want to be inputting a security code every single time. But it's up to you. To add a new IP range, you just click on the Add IP range and you put your start address IP and address IP. And if you want to add a description, you just add it here. Click Save, and that's it. To delete it, just go ahead and just delete. So I'm gonna keep mine because later we're gonna do some testing with that. Let's go to the let's go back to our clone profile and see what else we can do. Uh, let's go to object settings. All right, so let's go to, if we scroll down, let's go to incidents. We can either use Control F on the browser, or we can use the search in here and type incidents. And if we click on it, it will take us directly to the incident part. All right, so from here, this, since it's a clone, as you can see, it has the same level of access for the object. It has read, create, edit, and delete. All right, but it doesn't have view all or modify all. What are those extra permissions? It means that view all will allow this particular profile or user assigned to the profile to view all the tickets regardless of the queue that it's assigned to the ticket or the staff who owns the ticket. Okay, because with the out of the box permissions, if I do not belong to a queue and a ticket is assigned to that queue, I won't be able to just take it or edit that, no matter if I have edit. Because one thing is object access record, I mean, that you have access to an object. But the other thing is that you don't own that record, you don't own that ticket, so you don't have the rights to edit it. So BOL will allow you to view it, but not modify it, all the tickets on the system. On the other hand, modify all pretty much will give all permissions. Example, if I edit this page, now I have the edit button as you can see because I clone it. And if I click modify all, automatically gives view all. Or let's say I just uncheck create and edit. But if I check it, modify all, I will have edit, delete view all, and read. Create will not be marked because that's a total different setting. I mean, it's creating a new record, so you can tweak that as well. Um, Let me just uncheck this. And what do we have below? It's the field permissions. So you can even segregate your profiles by using field permissions. So you have the possibility of hiding some fields or just remove the read access to some fields for search and profiles. Okay, let's click on saving here. So then what happens if my let's say I'm gonna remove read, create, edit, and delete. So I'm gonna just keep with read. And I'm going back to my test user. This time I'm gonna grab another test user that I'm already logged in with him. So going to users, and I'm gonna take my boy Paul right here, and let me edit Paul. I'm gonna change Paul's profile to the clone, and okay, I give him only read access, right? So let's log in as Paul. I have Paul's window right here. Hold on one sec. Let me bring it over here. So this is Paul account. Let me refresh this so we can, and let's go Remedyforce console. And I don't know, let's try to edit a ticket because he has only read access, right? So how many of you do you think that Paul will be able to edit the record? Let's try to edit the record. Let's add a description. He was able to modify it. Because I changed the clone, but I didn't change the permission set. So that means that the permission set gives extra permissions to Paul to be able to modify that ticket that I just did, right? So let's see. Let's go back to, okay, this is Paul's account. All right, let's check now the permission set. What extra permissions is the permission set giving? And as well, that is one of the most common issues that we have as well when you see that the user is able to do something that the profile says it shouldn't, then most of the times the problem will be on the permission set because you have the possibility of stacking multiple permission sets into a single user. Let's check incident. And there it is. This record is giving recreate and edit to the incident object. So that means we need to edit this permission set or just clone the permission set to remove the extra access he's having. So that's why he was able to modify the ticket. And just to confirm that, let me see. This is Paul's ticket. Yeah, it is. Let me go back with the administrator session. To clone a permission set, it is basically the same process. You need to edit the API name here. APIs are unique. And that's it. You have cloned the permission set. Now you can edit this permission set and modify the same thing. And if you notice, we have lose up some system settings that we cannot put into the permission set. Those have to be handled on the profile level. All right, so why do we have or why do we need a permission set for every single user on Remedyforce? The reason behind that is that uh, there are customers that, and I'm gonna say it again, they use Salesforce for different purposes, and they most of the times don't have the possibility of using our profiles, right? So instead of forcing them to use our profile, we give them the chance to say, okay, if you need to clone the profile, just clone it. Add the particular extra access you need for other custom objects or another Salesforce objects, but just keep using the permission set. Because the next updates you get from the Remedyforce side, they are pushed into the permission set. So if you don't want to miss any update, keep using this permission set. Now there are another group of customers that they say, okay, I would like to keep using the permission set, but the permission set is giving extra access to my users. So how do I just keep using the permission set but just reducing the the security, but I don't want to lose any feature? Um, well, for that option, if you have cloned the permission set and you are not using the out-of-the-box one, it's impossible for the system to push an update in terms of security for new objects that are being created with an update or something like that with a custom permission set. So if you are using a custom permission set cloned by the default out of the box, we recommend you that on every single release of Remedyforce, you go ahead and clone again the permission set, make the necessary changes, and assign it back to your users. Unless you don't have any problem related to permissions. Finally, let me. Oh yeah, we're gonna see how to make them land on a different tab because that is part of the profile and slash the application. Let's go back to our profile. And on apps, we have assign apps. And if we see we have an app for the self-service, a BMC Helix, BMC self-service as well. That's another for testing purposes. And BMC Helix Remedyforce. If we see the checkboxes, this guy or these profiles, it's landing on BMC Helix Remedyforce app because it's a visible one, it's the default one. What means visible? It means that people can go ahead and click on this under this drop down and see what other applications they can access. Example, this can access Cloud Coach Milestones, which is another application on the system. But you can modify that. So let's see what is this thing. Let's go to the quick find on the setup menu and type apps. Then under build, create apps. And if you notice, this is the same list we had on the profile level. And we have here BMC Helix Remedyforce. If you see the blue arrow here, that means they're coming from a managed package. So this means that it's coming either from Remedyforce package or from another package you may have installed. Click on the, let's click on this one. And here are stuff that you can modify it as well from the application level. If you see, I'm sorry, let me zoom in. Oops, too much. All right, there it is. We have to choose the logo. Then we can choose the included tabs. So that means the tabs I'm seeing right here. But also, I'm able to choose a default landing tab, right? So The profiles that are using this application set as a default, they are landing on the Getting Started tab, which is this one. With a brand new Remedyforce, there are a bunch of tabs that you probably don't want to use. You can customize this on the application level, but that applies to all the people using that profile. Let's click on Edit, and let me zoom out a little bit. All right, there it is. So from here, we have the entire list of the tabs available on your Salesforce org, the selected tabs, and which profiles are assigned to this application. So if you notice, it's not only the staff one, but also the clone staff we created um, has heard the settings for this application, the system administrator, which is the current user I'm logged in, and the change manager. The client, on the other hand, has a different one, right? Because this is because I choose to my clients to land on the self-service instead of landing on the home page or a different tab. All right, so I'm gonna make a small tweaks here. I don't want to see templates here, and I don't want to see console layout details, which is a custom one I created. Uh, what else? I don't need to see dashboards from here or getting started. The only tab that you cannot remove, and this is a limitation of Salesforce, it's the home tab. So you will always have the home tab in there. And now from here, let me change the default landing tab. And I'm gonna change it to let's say Remedyforce administration for me because I'm an administrator. And let's go ahead and save. Let me close these extra tabs I have open. All right, check how my tabs look like currently. I have some extra tabs in here. I'm gonna log in again. Oops, let me log in again from incognito window. Did I click save? I don't remember. Let me just verify that. Let's go ahead and from apps, BMC Helix Remedyforce. Yes, I did. And let me see if my profile is assigned to that one. Remedyforce administration. Yes. Now, let me see one more thing. Let me see what profile I have assigned. Yes, Service Desk System Administrator and System Administrator, Remedyforce Administrator. Let me copy my username because it's a long username. Open an incognito window. There you go. I landed on the administrator. However, I still see in the getting started tab. So I need to check that further. I'm not sure why it keeps showing up. So that's, oh, never mind. You know what? I know why I'm seeing those. Since an administrator, well, all the users have the possibility of choosing this. If you go to your profile, I'm sorry, my settings, my mistake there. It's my settings. The application controls the level, the amount of tabs that you have available. But you can also customize your tabs as a personal preference. right? So if you see, I'm customizing the app BMC Helix Remedyforce. So that means I'm ignoring what are the tabs available to me as long as my profile has ability to see them, right? Because if you don't have access to incidents, or let's say if you don't have an administrator access, you won't be able to see Remedyforce administration. But since I'm an administrator, I have the possibility of ignoring the application layout of tabs, and I can build my own tab here. So if I remove getting started as I did with the application level, and you notice these were not part of the application, and that's why it's because that's my personal choose. So let's take them out, see what happens. And let me try to log in again. And there it is. I have landed on the Remedyforce administration, and I don't see any more of those tabs because my personal preferences are not there anymore. Let's take the example from the staff account. So let me bring the staff account in here. Oh, the session expired, but it's okay. Okay, the staff account. I'm gonna say nope. And let's go to my settings on the staff account. Oh, no, this is not the staff account. Hold on. Okay, let's log in as a staff account. Hold on. Okay, there it is. If I modify the my settings, display layout, and customize my tabs, you notice I have just a few tabs available. And that's because I'm using a staff account, a staff profile. So I don't have the same level of customization as an administrator, right? So I work as I should be working with the BMC Helix Remedyforce app. All right, this is the basic stuff for profiles and permission sets. It's a huge topic because from 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 here, profiles only controls object access. So that means if you have access to an object or not. But there are some extra access like record access, and we can check that later in the next on the next webinar. If you want to restrict not only based on objects, but also who can see or what can see inside the object. And that it's another total different topic. It's called sharing settings, and that controls who can see records inside an object. As I mentioned, those are finally. Just want to end with the best practices for creating new users. Uh, Please let me go back to the administrator one. Every time you create a new user, make sure you have created the user with the out of the box profile and the out of the box permission set that should be assigned to it. Also, if you're creating a staff user, remember to mark the service as staff. Then, if you're using a clone profile, please keep using the out of the box permission set. But if by any chance you need to also modify the permission set, please stay tuned to the next upgrades. And if I knew security upgrades gonna be pushed into the permission set, so you can make your own adjustments. If you want to see what are the out-of-the-box permissions provided for every single profile, I recommend you to take a look at the documentation and user permissions. I'm gonna put this into the chat so you have this at the hand. Here's an explanation of the all the profiles and permission sets. What are the responsibility of every single one of those? What are the modules that they can access out of the box, so you can compare across them? Here's a good one example. If you see the Remedyforce Service as a staff out of the box, it only has change requests on read. But if you see the change manager, who is responsible of change request control, it has all the privileges on change request and release. So there are minor tweaks between one and the other, between permission sets and profiles. Well, that's all for today. I don't know if you have any questions on the chat. Uh, we can just do a small roundtable if you have any questions regarding this or any of the topics we saw on the webinar. All right. The next webinar it's going to be about the Winter 20 release and the new features that are going to be pushed into Remedyforce. So there are some cool new features that we will be launching for the next release. So stay tuned for the next webinar because I'm going to show you how to use the new features and what it's coming to on the next Winter 20 release. Also, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have some cool tutorials and some support guidance on the Remedyforce YouTube channel. So if you have any other concern or question, you want to see the YouTube or see what other tutorials we have in there, how to use a feature in a specific, or if you need anything else, you can just go ahead and ping us via chat, email, or give us a call. Thank you so much for joining, and stay tuned for the next release. Have a good day.